The early access roadmap just dropped for Grounded 2, and I'm going to take a quick look at it and give my thoughts on what they have in here, as well as how it kind of fits with what's in the game currently. So first up, they have three updates listed: one in the fall, one in the winter, one in the summer. Then they have future plans listed for stuff that's going to come after that. So I'm guessing the fall update's probably going to be, I would guess, October timeframe, something like that. And just looking through this, it looks like it's heavily focused on adding one boss to the game, and I believe the boss is going to be the tarantula. So there was one of the videos they showed off they hovered over a mutation that said kill one tarantula. I can tell you that mutation is not currently in the game. It's not in you cannot unlock it because the tarantula is not currently in the game. But it looks like that's going to be coming in the fall update. So that update looks like it's going to be heavily focused on that with a little bit of quality of life stuff. Winter update's going to be a little bit more impactful. So Steam Deck verified. So you can play it on the Steam Deck right now, but it's not verified. So it looks like it'll be hopefully have the check mark for anybody playing on the Steam Deck in the winter. And when the winter is probably, I'm going to guess probably January, February, something like that. Then it'll be playable on that Rogue Ally. It looks like the items here behind that say the park, these are probably, I'm guessing, story-related items. That's why they're kind of blurred out here, so we can't see what they are. So looks like we're going to be getting some story added in winter update, summer update, and obviously after that. Winter update's also going to include playgrounds. So that'll be making a comeback. So I guess you'll be able to make your custom stuff. That's your thing. Sour 2.0, Peeper 2.0, and Coziness. Coziness is the big thing here because that'll give you more reason to build. Like, building in the game right now is purely cosmetic for the most part. And then obviously you do have to defend yourself periodically, but that can happen at any place in the world. So it doesn't even have to be your house. So the Coziness feature coming back will be good to see. I don't know what Sour 2.0 means. I don't know if they're like reworking the way Sour works. And then Peeper 2.0, maybe the Peeper is going to do more. Maybe there's going to be more information. Maybe there's going to be, you can see further. I don't know what that's going to entail, but it'll be interesting to see. Next, they're talking about the next buggy that's coming. So it looks like the Ladybug is going to be the third buggy added to the game. Currently, the game has the Red Soldier Ant and the Orb Weaver. So while the Ladybug buggy, you'll be able to peep on the buggy, which is pretty cool because a lot of things you want to do, you actually have to get off the buggy. The buggy's good for getting around. It's good for picking up resources. It's good for the Red Soldier Ant can harvest like grass planks, and it can harvest like dandelions. But if you want to break rocks, or you want to break quartzite or marble, or you're going to have to get off of the buggy to do that. So being able to do more stuff on the buggy will definitely be helpful, like peeping and stuff like that. So we got quality of life interaction improvements. I think that's probably going along with the buggy. Next up is going to be new creatures that are coming. So we have the cricket and the earwig, and then new variants of existing insects. Earwig was originally planned for Grounded 1 and got cut. So I guess they're going to be able to reuse that and put it into this game. Cricket's going to be brand new. I'm going to take a guess here and say Earwig will probably be aggressive. Cricket will probably be neutral or passive, one of those two. But I think the Earwig will probably be an aggressive creature. And then the new variants, that'll be interesting to see what they do with those. Maybe they'll have more nymph versions because there's currently nymph versions of a couple of the creatures in the game. Maybe they'll just have different variations of them, or maybe they'll be like in the first game where there was infected versions or something like that. We'll have to see what comes with that. New Tier 3 equipment and Tier 3 Omni Tool unlocks. I'm going to say right now, this is probably going to be something that I think this might be a pain point for a lot of people right now, because there are Tier 3 resources in the game you literally cannot harvest. Like right by the first Ranger outpost, there's a pine cone, and you cannot break it. And you're not going to be able to break it until these Tier 3 equipment upgrades come. There's also sour candy you can't break. There's just stuff in the game you can't use. And there's actually been, I'm pretty sure some of the images they've showed from the game, or maybe some of the videos they showed I think they had like pine cone roofs, and one of them, you can't build those right now because you cannot harvest the pine cones. So I really think it would have made, I don't know, it's an interesting design choice to have those resources in the game but not be able to harvest them. But it's good to see that it's at least coming in the next, I guess, probably 5 to 6 months. Next up is going to be the Mushroom Set 2.0, new furniture, new base defenses. I'll talk about the base defenses in a second because that's the most interesting here. Right now, you cannot actually do anything with the mushrooms. You can chop down mushrooms because you can upgrade the axe to Tier 2, but you can actually do nothing with them because you can't even process them because the oven does not exist in the game. At least it didn't exist when I was playing it. I don't know if they added it with the day one patch, but the oven was not in the game, and I could not make any stuff. So I'll have to go back in and see if they've added the oven. But as of right now, you can't even do anything with the mushrooms other than collect them. The new base defenses, I'm happy the fact that the acorn turret is super useful now, and I'm definitely glad to see that they'll be adding new base defenses. Because right now it's basically the spike strip, or the spike strips that are made out of like thistle needles and weed stems. And then you have the acorn turrets. The acorn turrets are useful, but I would definitely like to see more base defense options if the base defenses are going to be a mandatory part of the game, which it feels like they are right now. Summer updates, so we're not this is coming a year from now, so we're talking Smoothies 2.0, Swimming 2.0, and Zip Lines. Let's start with the big one here, the elephant in the room. The zip line's not coming for a year. I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't get moved up because I think a lot of feedback's going to be that we need zip lines right now. If you watched my review video, one thing I mentioned was I felt like traversal in the game is a little too slow right now, even on the buggies. The map is large. It's about the same size as the map from the first game. Imagine playing through that whole game and not having zip lines. I think zip lines need to be moved up much, much sooner, either like winter at the latest, but I'd really like to see them in the next update because I think they're going to get a lot of feedback that traversal just feels too slow. There's currently not even swimming in the game. There's no water biomes. There's water in the game, but you can't actually swim. So be interesting to see what they do with that. And then it looks like they're going to revamp smoothies. I would personally like to see smoothies in addition to the buffs they give you. At the minimum, like quenching thirst or actually like filling up your hunger. I think that would make sense. Watery buggy. So the summer update is going to have the 4th buggy. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. I'm wondering if it might be the, what is it, the water strider or something like that? Maybe something like that they could add. That was originally planned in the first game. They ended up cutting it. Water creatures. So it looks like the summer update is going to have that water biome that was that looks like it's off in the distance in the map that we can't currently get to. Tier 4 equipment, Tier 4 Omnitool unlocks, and watery equipment. So some of the parts of the Omnitool can be upgraded up to Tier 5. So looks like they're adding Tier 4 here. I've not run into any resources that say they're Tier 4. I've only run into Tier 3, but that would make sense because they'll probably add Tier 4 stuff in these biomes that are coming up later on. And then the watery bases, so I'm expecting we'll probably get the buoyant foundations, and then it'll be really curious to see if you can actually build underwater. I know that was something people asked for in the first game, and it never came to fruition, but at a minimum, being able to build on the water makes perfect sense. Up here, another thing that's blurred out here, I guess this is going to be more story. And then moving on to the future plans here, more story blocked off. Passive mutations. So they mentioned passive mutations in the interviews leading up to the game, which made me think that they were going to be in the game at launch. And it's something I didn't even think about when I was doing any when I was playing through it, or because I'm so used to them not existing. And then I really wish they would move these up too, so we could have these sooner. But I guess we'll take it when we get it. Active mutations 2.0. Right now you can only have up to 4 active mutations, so I don't know if this means we're going to be able to have up to 5 plus the passive. We'll have to see what goes on with that. More buggies. So we got a ladybug, a water one, and then future saying more. I'm hoping they add a flying buggy. Maybe I would guess the bee would make the most sense, unless they add another flying creature to the game. Mosquito probably wouldn't make sense, although I guess the Orb Weaver is aggressive as well, but I think a bee would make the most sense to be here. Buggy mutations, buggy customization, buggy progression. That's pretty interesting. So you'll be able to level up your buggies. Right now, they don't, like, you can use them to fight and stuff like that, but they don't actually get any progression. So actually using them to fight so they get stronger would make sense, or make them maybe run faster, or have more stamina, or jump higher. Those would all be things that would make sense in terms of the mutation and the progression. Then I guess the customization will just be having the way the like the saddles on them look. Then they say new creatures, new park bosses, new colossi. I don't even know what that means because that's not referenced anywhere else, and I don't recognize that, so I'm not even sure what that means. I'm guessing that maybe that's like a new like mega boss or something like that. I don't know. New armor, new weapons, Omnitool unlocks, and then new archetypes. So that's going to be, I guess, new builds. So maybe they're going to add new weapon types that don't currently exist in the game. One thing with the archetypes, though, somebody commented on this on one of my videos from earlier, and they were asking, like, well, if I do the archer build, am I only going to be doing stabbing damage? And from the best of my recollection, the answer to that is going to be yes. So these archetypes kind of force you into one kind of weapon if you want to get the most out of them. And the issue with that is going to be that a lot of times you might run into one creature that's weak to it, but the next one you run into is resistant to it. So these archetypes, it feels like that's meant to be, it almost feels like this is built around like multiplayer and not so much if you're playing solo or even with one other player. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to go with the new archetypes in the future. New building materials, new buildings, customization, base moving. So that's a pretty cool feature. If you can just pick up and move your whole base from one place to another, that'd be really cool. That was something that you could actually do in small land. You could actually move from one of the great trees to another, and it would literally move your entire base from one place to another. You don't have to worry about moving everything. That would be really cool to see in this game as well. And then they got some different languages added down here for, I guess that's for localization and stuff. So those are your languages. That's going to be good for you. That's in the future. So overall, what do I say? I say I'm glad that they put a roadmap out. I will say that I'm slightly disappointed by specifically the fact that the next update is really just going to have a new boss and nothing else, it doesn't look like. And I really think zip lines need to be moved up. And right now, like since there's resources in the game that I've literally come across that like the pine cones and the sour candy that I can't do anything with. And there, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a weapon I unlocked and I can't even make the weapon because it requires a candy glob that I can't even make because the oven didn't exist, at least not in the pre-release version. So like I said, that might have been added after the day one patch, but I'm going to go check. But I really think at a minimum, zip lines need to be moved up. That would help a lot because getting around the map is really tedious right now, even with the buggy. So anyway, I'm glad they put this roadmap out. Anytime they make an update to it, I'll make sure to make a video on it and let you guys know what's changed with it and what my thoughts on it are. Make sure you guys, as you're playing the game, go leave feedback in their Discord. Leave feedback, however, like on their social, stuff like that. When they stream, leave feedback. The more feedback you give, the more likely things are going to change. And like I said, I know a lot of people are going to ask about the zip lines. So if zip lines are like a pain point for you after you play for a couple hours right now this week or this next couple weeks, make sure you share that with them on their socials or on their Discord. So maybe we can get that moved up here to maybe the fall update or the winter update at worst. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the early access roadmap for Grounded 2. If you found the video helpful, make sure to hit the like button. Consider subscribing for more content just like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.